guys, this is Steven here with Team Covenant, and I'm joined, of course, by Tim and Zach. And we are going to unbox here Mala Tempora, the newest data pack for Netrunner, the LCG. And we had a bit of time to play with these cards, so maybe our comments will be more helpful than they otherwise would be.
Or maybe they won't.
Or maybe they won't. Maybe we're just bad. I'm going to start it off here with Reina Roja, who is no surprise, I think, for anybody following this game with any bit of vigor. She is a freedom fighter, and she's a cyborg in a Gmod. She has one link, and the res cost of the first piece of ice resed each turn is increased by 1. What? 45-15 standard runner fare. So she's got one link and raises the res cost of the first piece of ice each turn by 1.
Doesn't seem that great.
Well.
Are you kidding? I hope you're kidding.
It's trolling us, man.
Just kidding.
This is just, it's good. It's just really good. I think we've seen this consistently be good.
Is it so good?
No. I don't know. I think this is up there with like a Gabe or a Andromeda. It's universally good. You don't have to build anything around it. You can try to do the whole denial Xanadu parasite thing if you want, or you can just make the corp spend an extra 5 to 10 credits over the course of the game and have a link, which is phenomenal.
Seems like it's not going to be bad.
Yeah. So my experience with Reina, I haven't done the whole chess thing with her yet. I've just kind of put her into some different decks, and she's like the best Anarch runner. I mean, noise, you build for noise. Like if you're not building noise, he's doing nothing for you. Wizard can be on or off depending on whether they're running assets or not. Completely dependent on the corp. Reina, always good.
I agree. I'm usually not a big on cards that require my opponent doing something. However, this is my opponent doing. It's like, are they going to breathe or not in the game?
Sure.
So if they're not resing ice, I'm okay with that.
That's the unless you play against the 3 ice deck.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, it's like if you're not resing ice, then I'm fine with that. So either you're gonna have to spend more money on ice, which is something you'll have to do. And I think you're right. I don't think you have to build to it. I think it maybe makes sense to build to it. It'll be a cool deck, but I also am interested to see in 6 months, a year, if people are using this without really even building to it, but kind of with an overarching strategy.
I just feel like it's going to be the thing. It's like, okay, I'm going to build Anarch. It's like, well, Wizard's not going to help me out that much.
Yeah.
Noise. I don't want to do viruses. It's like, she's just a super awesome standard go-to.
She's the first go-to runner, I think.
She's the one that you just put in there, and it's like, this is what it's going to start as. Let's see where the deck goes, see how it plays out, but it's probably going to stay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's solid. And, man, the one link just icing on the cake there. Really.
So it's really what just makes it sing.
Yeah.
Like it's good otherwise, but the link is just like, why'd you give her a link?
Just throw it in there.
Why did you give her a link?
Because the blue cards can't be all the good cards.
That's right. Well, we hope not. Moving on, Tim, what do we got here?
Up next, we have Deep Red. It is a unique hardware console. It's 2 cost. It gives you +3 MU. You can use the MU on Deep Red only for Kai'Sa programs. Whenever you install a Kai'Sa program, you may trigger its action ability without spending an action. Limit 1 per player. I will speak from personal experience that this is way better than you think it is before you use it.
Yeah.
The first time that you trigger that rook just right onto an ice, you're just like,
yes,
this feels right.
Yes.
Or whenever you're using clone chips to get more out and then just going right on. It's just,
yes. It's
everything you want this chess pieces to do.
This seems really good, and it's only 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, I think that's really solid. It is worth
It's only
noting.
1 influence.
It's only 1 influence. So you could
hey, Anarchs.
technically splash this with the Kai'Sas.
I have an Exile chess deck right now.
It is an Exile chess deck. That's exactly what it is. we won't say anything else about it, though, will we? I think the only negative I could see out of this is that it really is one of those consoles, and all of them are like this, but it's one that you really want to get it out kind of early, and then start your chess theme going, because without Deep Red, the whole chess theme is a little bit slow, feels a little janky. So
I agree with that. But it's the same with every console.
Yeah.
Like, you want to see it early.
Yeah.
Like,
same with Dinosaurus. It's kind of it's not quite in the same category as Dino for me, but it's kind of similar where you kind of are holding back until that console comes out, and then you kind of explode into what your game is actually all about. So, solid. Let's see what new chess we've got.
Of course. Zach. Next up, we have the Knight. 2 cost, 1 MU program, Icebreaker, AI, Kai'Sa, 2 credits, break subroutine on host ice. Click. And just take a deep breath.
You can host it.
Host Knight on a piece of ice not hosting a Kaisa. If already hosted, Knight can be hosted only on ice that is not installed directly before or after the current piece of ice hosting Knight.
Okay.
I like it.
So it can move sideways, or it can skip up or down, basically skipping whatever's in front of it or behind it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's pretty knighty.
7 strength.
Probably the best way to do it. I mean, I love this card.
I think it's a phenomenal breaker.
I love it. I don't think you need to be running chess, the whole chess suite to make this awesome. You put 2, even 3 of these in your deck, and it kind of acts like it's a weird kind of Crypsis-y type thing,
To me, it feels sort of like Femme Fatale.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm going to pick that ice. I don't know what it is. I might know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, I know I'm going to be able to get through it for not ridiculous amounts of money.
Yes. And it's really good to me. Like, we've been working on a retrieval run deck. Any kind of deck where you're really trying to focus on a central server, right? If they shut off archives, it's like, this is a problem. Knight always gives you a way in. You always can get in there. It's a great counter.
Unless they have a swordsman.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, I think the nice thing to me, you compared it to Femme, is it only costs 2,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not stuck on what you pick.
Yes.
That's humongous. Obviously,
Yes.
it can be. You can get rid of this if you install over it or whatever. But at the same time, like for 2, that's pretty phenomenal.
And I think it's a great counter and a much needed counter to like oversight and buy road efficiency and those kinds of things that are going to get more and more ridiculous as more and more awesome ice comes out. Well, now I can just throw this on it, break it, and it goes back under. I think this is a really solid card for the Anarchs. Really solid. Moving on to running interference for the criminals. First of all, fantastic art, of course. Really just amazing. 4-cost event. It's a double. It's going to cost you 2 clicks to play, and you get to make a run. During the run, the corp has to pay X as an additional cost to res each piece of ice, where X is the res cost of that ice. So all ice costs double to res. 4 influence for the old criminals there.
I think this is a really good card.
We played around with this card.
I think it's good. There will be times that you waste it. There will be times that you don't want to play it. But it will be in a lot of decks, and it will have a lot of fruit coming from it.
It's a very interesting little event, because a lot of the big things that you want to make it through on, like, for instance, easy examples, Maker's Eye or Account Siphon or whatever, right? You can't use it in tandem with running interference because it initiates the run itself. So the singular run has to be critically important. And maybe that's hitting the remote early.
I mean, R&D interfaces also
Mm-hmm.
work well. Like, it's a faux Maker's Eye, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're
totally.
running R&D and HQ interfaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes every run super important, and it's like, I'm going to look at the top 3 cards of your deck if you
You
don't
kinda
stop
res it
me.
all.
And it's like, even just having to pay double for, like, an Ice Wall and then a Caduceus or something.
Pop-up window.
Just,
Wait.
wait a second, 2 times, what?
The another synergy you can look at with this card is with Reina Roja.
Yeah.
The cost of the ice is factored in before you double it, so it's +1 and then doubled.
That's nice.
Then if you combo with Xanadu or Rook,
Seems good.
you can make a pop-up window cost 6. It's like, well,
It's too
or
bad
more.
this is 4 influence, huh?
Yeah, but I mean,
don't
you
think
can
you're
put
gonna
one
be
in there.
You can do it. Well, I mean, 1 in might be worth it, especially with same old thing, Deja Vu. The Anarchs might run this pretty well. But I also look at it as a really good early remote threat. The criminals already have inside job as kind of you've got to double ice this thing before you go for the agenda. And now you have 2 options, interference or the other.
It's quickly becoming a which trick do you have in your hand right now?
Yeah.
Because I can prevent one of them, but I
Mhm.
can't prevent both. And it makes the court make hard decisions. And the criminal really needed that extra help.
I think it's a really interesting event. I mean, it is costly, 2 clicks and 4 credits. So I don't know.
It's very costly.
It seems a lot more situational than Inside Job.
It is.
And way more expensive. But it could
And
also be way more painful.
The ice has to be on res,
So-
et cetera, et cetera. There's some
You
things
can
there.
also, looking towards the future, when Blackguard comes out,
Here we go.
You can run Snitch and Blackguard, and then you're running interference, and then you can use the Snitch to expose the ice.
Yeah?
And then
12 cards later?
They have to. It's 3 cards.
That's fair. No, that's
3
fair.
cards. This is a
I
fair
like this
combo.
actually.
Yeah.
This is,
And you can expose the ice before you encounter it and force them to res it at double cost.
boom.
They have to res it.
It's good.
If
So
they
maybe
can.
maybe
If
this
they
is
can.
maybe this is ultimately to kind of give us a taste of what's to come with Tim's Blackguard deck, which is going to be awesome.
I do too.
You talked about it enough, where it's like it has to be
I
great.
mean, I think this is the kind of card that it'll stick around. It'll get used. I don't think it'll be as prevalent as some of the criminal events, but it will be around.
I think most decks will run one of. Criminal decks will run one of.
Especially if you're like
As a
similar
minimum.
thing.
Yeah.
As a minimum.
We'll see.
But yeah.
We'll see what other good blue cards come out.
Up next is Expert Schedule Analyzer.
Cool.
It is a 1-cost, 1 MU program, 2 influence. Make a run on HQ if successful. Instead of accessing cards, you may reveal all cards in HQ. I like this card a lot.
I do too. Have you talk about your criminal cards nobody plays deck?
Well, I
was playing it the other day, and this is a lot of fun in here.
I was running this card and Doppelganger, which is a nice little. It's not really a combo, but it's a nice little synergy that you got going on there. It's like, oh, I'm gonna use Expert Schedule Analyzer. I'm gonna check your hand. It's like, oh, you have 2 agendas there. All right, I'm gonna use my Doppelganger run to run there now. Or it's like, oh, there's no agendas. Let me just go run over
Moving
on
on,
down or the remote or wherever. Is it great? No. No, it's not. But it's not bad.
Nope, sure isn't.
It's not bad.
It's a cute little synergy there, you know.
It's one of the. It's one of those things where, like, if it's out and you just have not thought about it and you just put it out, right? You're like, I'm just playing this card. When it's there, it's really nice. It's like, oh, I just want to check your hand. That's really handy, especially like Sneak Door and other things.
I can also see this working really well in Shaper, who like to get an R&D lock. Not going to mention any games, but something like at Worlds, whenever your opponent has 8 agendas in hand and you don't realize it.
Yeah.
To start with, it's like, oh, if I just had this
Being
program
able to
once.
get all the information.
Okay, boom, it's none's there. All right, now R&D lock. You have nothing.
Yeah.
You literally have nothing.
Yeah.
You most literally have 0.
It's cool.
Cool card.
It's cool.
All right, next up we have Grifter. It's a 2-cost resource, virtual. When your turn ends, gain 1 credit if you made a successful run this turn. Otherwise, trash Grifter.
This card is interesting to me because it's not great. It's not going to find its way into a lot of decks. Criminal already is struggling to find a room, and their economy is not usually what's been hurting them. They're trying to find more room for events and things like that. That being said, I had this played against me the other day, and it was nice. It's like, he has Desperado data suckers. I'm going to run Archives. Okay. You get a data sucker token and a credit, and then you also get another credit from Grifter because you made a successful run.
Yeah.
It's just there, ready. But I don't like any card that forces you to do things when you don't want to.
Right.
For the most part.
Uh-huh.
Like, and I understand you don't have to do it. You can just trash it. But then it's like, why are you running the card? Why don't you just run a different?
Yeah. Totally. It seems to work really well in some kind of bizarro doppelganger run every turn deck. And it doesn't really work, It doesn't really work, at least not yet. But
I mean, I could also see it in when you're playing against a burn deck where they're burning down all the ice, and they can almost always guarantee that you'll have somewhere unprotected and they'll be able to get to it pretty safely.
Could be a cool place for that.
Because it's only 1 influence. So
it's not unique as well, so you can have like 3 of these out.
I don't know. This could be cool.
I think it's cool. I don't think it's like game breaking.
I don't think it's going to find a lot of play.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I think that it will be played. I think it will be fine. Like, it's a fine card.
I was going to say, I think it's a fine card.
It's a fine card.
It's a tier 2 card. That's where I would put it.
I think there will be some decks where people are playing and it'll just fit.
One influence.
It'll just fit in a certain deck. But in most decks, this is not good enough for a blue card.
I'll tell you one thing before we move past is this is a card that will trap a lot of folks in game situations where they're like, oh, I'm going to run that remote so that I don't trash my Grifter. And it's like, you just gained a credit for a click, which is not really helping Grifter pay itself off. You know what I mean? So you don't want to force yourself to, like, keep it around.
If you have a bunch of unsuccessful triggers as well, though, like John Masonori and Data Suckers and Desperado, then it becomes a little bit more...
Becomes cool.
You're kind of leveraging yourself to that successful run, though, and that terrifies me.
Hey, put some knights in there, man.
I think it's a deck that's on its way. Successful run deck.
Successful.
Seems like a good thing to do. I don't know. All right, what's up next?
I got Torch, Program Icebreaker, Decoder, 9 cost, 1 MU. It's a 4 strength, break code gate subroutine for 1, +1 strength for 1. Phenomenal code gate breaker, 4 influence for the Shapers. Expensive to get out, bendable, phenomenal.
The thing is, it's really not that expensive to get out. Like, Shaper can do it. Like,
yeah.
I've seen people play 3 Fems all day long. And I think this is a great card.
Even just the old test run scavenge, is forever here. Even test running a Fem put this out. Or scavenging a Fem put this out. Scavenge this, put a Fem out. Like, There's good stuff here at the high cost program.
Then you can also just
Train.
splash little retrieval run-ins. Run
yeah.
right up in there and
Yeah.
bloop.
4 influence. How about that?
Yep.
I think the 9 cost to me is more appealing, not because obviously you don't want to have to pay 9, but at the same time, like, it being 9 means that you can scavenge for a lot of things. Or most things at this point. So I don't know. It's interesting. I don't think this is a go-to breaker for Shaper.
It's right where it should be, though.
But it'll be in decks.
Because 5 costs, you're paying 4 more than you pay for a Yogg. You're getting +1 strength and the ability to break any code gate. And that's pretty significant. I think if it were any cheaper, or it's just perfectly where it needs to be.
I think it's great. I think it's going to see a lot of play. I don't see it being splashed a ton.
Right.
You want to use all your influence on this?
I mean, I'm sure that it will happen.
You'll see the occasional torch. And as we get bigger and better code gates, it'll be a more impressive
Leviathan will have its day.
icebreaker. Eventually, Yogg will get run out of this thing because it just won't be able to break most of the code gates. And there's your torch.
Boom.
Shapers.
Up next, we have the woman in the red dress.
Oh, what a card.
She's unique, 3 cost, resource, connection, and virtual. Foxfire will love this. When your turn begins, reveal the top card of R&D. The court may draw that card. 4 influence. This card isn't that impressive to me.
Something's happening here. I mean, there has to be some kind of brain behind this.
I think that it's...
You don't make it 4 influence, 3 cost unique for nothing. You know what I mean?
I think it's a good effect. I think it's fine. I just don't think it's there. I know Bruggles is in love with this card. I think it's a fine card, but I just can't support it.
I mean,
what's it?
Bruggles is instantly was like, it's so good with Fisk. It's like, yeah, sure. What?
It's okay. No, it's 4. First of all, it's 4 influence with Fisk, but it.
You can run 1 and then hostage for it.
To me,
which is okay.
You know, we talk a lot about information, in the game where it's like, well, you get to see the top card of R&D and that's significant, but at the same time, the corp gets information here too. They see the top card of R&D, and then they get the choice to put it in their hand or not. It's like, oh, that's an agenda, and they get into R&D, then I'm grabbing it and giving them a 1 in 6 chance of pulling it out of my hand. Or I'm going to leave it there because it's not an agenda and nobody cares. And I know what I'm getting next turn, so I can prepare for that. I can get ready for that. It's like, where does this go? Like, I just don't see it being an advantage for the runner almost ever. Unless you have a clear shot in HQ, but then they don't draw the card. You have to have a clear shot to R&D and HQ, and then it doesn't matter anyway.
Because you have a clear shot to R&D and HQ.
I just don't see it. I do not see it. Now, maybe something happens later. There's got to be, like I said, something about this card. Maybe we find it later down the road. But right now, you can't run this.
I mean, it's interesting, right?
It is that.
It's interesting.
As all bad cards are.
It's not true.
At the same time,
it's not interesting.
Like when I'm thinking about it, if you go back to basic Shaper,
right?
It's just straight up rig, money. I'm gonna be able to get in wherever I want. Let's play Netrunner.
Boom.
Let's play Netrunner.
Knowing, if they look at the top card, let's say it's an agenda. Knowing, let's say they put it in their hand and it's 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 or whatever. Knowing that your run on the hand is at least a 1 in 5 or a 1 in 6 chance of scoring is not that bad because you've only got so many clicks to do this with. But also, if you look and it's not on the top card of the deck, not wasting the click and the money to R&D to lock them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, if I've got a rig and I can get wherever I want, I see that you put an agenda in your hand. I may not even run. But now when you put something down and advance it, I've got a much better idea of whether that's going to actually be an agenda or not.
That's valid.
So
that's valid.
If I can get in wherever I want, it's not like you can just drop it and score it.
But then you look at the opposite side of it. Like if you're playing Shinteki and you play this card, and let's say it is an agenda, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put it in my hand. It's like, are you really gonna run in my hand now? Like,
and the inverse of that situation for me is like that agenda that they just put in their hand could easily have just been on top of R&D. Like you're gonna just run R&D, just do what Shaper does anyway, and don't give them the option to take an agenda from you and put it in their hand. Just run the top card and get it every time anyway, rather than giving them the option of putting it in your hand and making you run for it. Like, there's just no reason.
I don't know that. I mean, you're assuming that Shaper in that case has an R&D lock, which you don't always have.
But if they don't, then the agenda stays on top of the deck and you can't get it anyway. Like if you can't get into R&D, then it stays there.
I mean, maybe
if you
but
can, then you
have to
should have just run anyway.
Maybe you
and
can,
not-
but you have to spend 15 money every time, or 20 money.
You got RD interface out there. This just doesn't play in. It doesn't play in.
Your point is valid.
It is a valid point. Fair
And
enough.
It's the best argument I've heard so far. But
Fair enough.
overall, I don't think it's.
I'm just saying, so if you know you're playing Shaper and you know they're going to be trying to get an RD lock, you should be putting expensive ice to get through in front of your deck, so that they can't just keep doing that. Like, they can't just generate 15 money a turn. That doesn't happen.
They can generate 8 money a turn,
Sure, but that's all they're doing that turn.
assuming they don't have a Desperado and data suckers.
So I mean, maybe it's a late game thing. Fair enough. Maybe you put one in the Shaper deck and then you drop it whenever it's 6-6, and you need to know.
The thing,
If they-
it's just like there's so many other cards that I could be like, I would rather see that card than this card in the moment.
Right.
It's just one of those. It's one of those cards.
All right, let's move on.
Let's move on.
Woman in the red
Next,
dress.
we have Raymond Flint. He's a unique resource, 2 cost, connection, neutral. Whenever the corp takes at least 1 bad publicity, access 1 card from HQ, trash to expose a card.
This card is scary in some
Someone
ways.
had to go in there because I didn't know what to say.
Whenever I look at this card, the first thing I see is that access from HQ is mandatory. So as a Wayland player, who's the person that has the easiest way to get a bad publicity with hostile takeover, boom, done. If you have, let's say, a hostile takeover and a snare in your hand, and they have Raymond Flint out, I'm going to score this hostile takeover. You access a card from HQ. You take 3 damage. Like, it's just...
There is that.
You don't always want to access that card.
There is that.
But, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't,
But, I mean, it's the same thing, right? Like, if you're looking across and they have 2 cards in their hand,
Mm-hmm.
they install, they advance. At that point, do you not trash to expose the card they're advancing? Like, if they have 1 card in their hand and they're going to force you to access it?
Maybe.
the
But then you spend
Well, if-
2 money
if-
on an expose.
If it's going, if a snare can kill you at that moment, surely you drop. You drop the card.
I think that Raymond is a lot simpler than anything else that we might otherwise say here, and that is that he's an infiltration that you don't have to keep in your hand, and that's actually worth something, right? Where it's like, I don't have to hold this 1 slot of 5 in my hand for 20 turns until there's that thing I want to expose. Right? It's like, just put Raymond out. Maybe you get a card from HQ. It doesn't much matter. But then later on in the game, whenever it's that big moment, you expose the card, and there you have it.
I'm probably going to go in my Blackguard deck.
It's probably worth 2.
I also think it's interesting because the corp knowing that you have an expose
Yes.
makes a world of difference here.
It makes it weird.
I do love the flavor of this card.
It makes it
The-
weird.
the
Yes.
idea of it.
Yes.
Like, just to me, having it out. If I see the runner has this, I can't play the same tricks I can play as the corp. I just can't. Like,
Yeah.
I know that they can expose it. Putting a trap down with 3 advancement on it is like.
But I mean, you also might want them to burn that expose.
Yeah, it's metagame,
Totally.
metagame.
I mean, you may have to though. That's the.
It's all game
Like,
theory.
what's it worth to force them to expose here?
It's what- like, we can talk about this all day.
You gotta
We-
blow
we
it.
can.
But then I know that you're doing that, so now I'm going.
Anyways, I think having expose on the board and they know about it, the power of it is just having it on the board.
Yeah, I think I might run one of these guys. Just one Raymond.
Oh, Raymond Flint.
Just one
I
expose.
might run 3.
Just one. It's fine.
I'm at 7.
It's not a bad card. I'll say that.
Yep.
I would agree.
It'll be indexed.
Let's talk about Isabelle McGuire here, a
Easy
unique
McGuire.
asset executive, 0 cost for Hasbioroid. It's 1 influence and 3 to trash, and it's a simple action. Add 1 of your installed cards to HQ. I think it's quite good.
I do too.
I think it's quite good. Failed traps, back to hand.
The first thing in my mind jumps to is if you have a Parasite installed on one of my ice, or a Kaisa on one of my ice,
Or you played Fem,
or you put a
faked
Fem.
an ice. You gotta pop it back.
Boom.
Somewhere else.
Yeah.
I really, I love ice that can come back to hand, or some way of getting ice back to hand.
But then you have to ask yourself, like, as the runner, it's like, am I really going to trash her? Like, if I just put
Yeah.
her over here in the server, it's like, is that worth 3? Like,
I think this is solid, man. They got to pay 3. You get a benefit out of it immediately if you want it. It's really good. It's really good. And 1 influence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because I think anyone
Anyone
could
can
use
use
that
it.
ability.
Absolutely. I think it's a solid card.
For
I'll give
certain.
it at least 1 thumb up.
yep.
1 thumb up. Okay, Isabelle, well done.
Well
I think
done.
I think she's pretty significant to the game, more than we probably think.
I could agree with that.
Just an idea.
Just an idea.
All right.
Hudson.
Up next, we have Hudson 1.0. He is a 3-cost, 5-strength Code Gate. He's a Viroid. He can you can spend clicks to break subroutines on him. He's 1 influence, and he has 2 subroutines. The runner cannot access more than 1 card during this run. The runner cannot access more than 1 card during this run. I look at this card. I look at this card.
Those faces are priceless.
And I see 3 cost, 1 influence. And I think, what other ice is that? There's Eli. 3 cost, 1 influence.
Eli's so much better.
And he ends the run, which means they access 0 cards.
It's true.
Which is better than 1.
Oh man, yeah. I know that there's some things that this guy does that other ice currently doesn't do, but that thing isn't worth doing, really, is it?
I mean, we could see some combinations here with Zed, finally.
All right.
It really shuts down the indexing if they're not going to spend the the 3rd turn indexing, 3rd click indexing.
Well, indexing
They
isn't
don't
accessing.
access. It doesn't even
Yeah,
shut
I
that
mean,
down.
the
It's
problem
all
is-
R&D interface and Maker's Eye and stuff,
Mhm.
huh?
The real problem with this card.
Or from HQ as well. Or from a remote server.
HQ interface.
You can't access. You can only access one of these cards in the bottom.
Oh, there you go.
But it's still.
But
The issue here is that this is 1,000,000% conditional.
Yeah.
Like, so conditional, it's crazy. And you just click through it if it's really a problem. Like, if I'm in a Maker's Eye.
But then you have Zed.
Let,
And you'll take brain damage.
Okay.
let's talk about the.
Just add more cards here.
I'm thinking about this. I've been doing this NBN upgrade, crazy upgrade, Ash Red Herrings kind of thing. So let's say you have Ash Red Herrings and Agenda in there. They hit the old Hudson 1.0, and let's say they don't click through it. There's a lot of ifs here.
I mean, it is a 5-strength Code Gate, which is
Which is hard
It's not- it's
dish
a
to
lot.
get through. I'd like it to be 6,
Hard-ish.
honestly,
I mean,
so that
so
y'all
you
get
get
forced didn't.
It's what, is a toll booth strength.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think you should be able to spend clicks to break this. Period. I mean, this just doesn't make sense to me. If it didn't have that, I would say fair enough. But with the click thing,
Or even if it just started out at a 2.0, if it was Hudson 2.0.
yeah,
2
yeah.
clicks to break 2.
We've gotten better.
Just give us the 2.0.
We've gotten better.
Just give us
That's
some.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
flavor text.
I don't know. I'm sure someone somewhere is going to have a really good reason for running this card. I just can't see anyone running this.
It doesn't make the cut. It doesn't.
Yeah,
make the cut.
if you draw into this early and it's like, oh, that's what's covering my hand. Thanks.
Stronger Together does make this a 6-strength.
Thank you, Tim.
All right.
I'm just saying,
Let's
it's
move
it's
on.
there.
Is
It's not going to
is
make the
me?
cut, at least for
Yeah,
a
you're
very long time.
All right, next up, we have Accelerated Diagnostics. It's a 1-cost operation, 1 influence, HB. Look at the top 3 cards of R&D. If any of those cards are operations, you may play them, paying their play cost, ignoring any additional cost. Trust the rest of the unplayed cards you looked at.
Obviously, has everyone fully talked about the craziness that you can do with the various
Yeah.
things?
Elaborate. Tell us the combo.
Well, it's later on down
There's
here.
another card in this pack.
Power Shutdown.
Let's just get it out.
Power Shutdown. You essentially trash your whole deck with Power Shutdown. And then you have a Jackson Howard in play already.
All right.
Then you remove Jackson Howard from the game, and you put back into your deck of 0 cards a Sea Source and then 2 Scorched Earths.
Then you play this, play the cards.
Then you play this. You
They're
play
all
those
free.
3 cards. Well, except for you have to boost the trace. Still.
Right.
And you have to play the play cost as well.
Right.
So they're not free.
Yeah,
they just
right.
don't cost actions.
Right.
And it's just like, you're dead.
See,
Yeah.
score. Assuming you don't have Plastic or something out, you're dead.
Right.
You're just dead.
And
Or decoy.
the thing about
Or
that,
you didn't run last turn.
yeah, there's definitely ways
I mean,
around
you have
it.
to wait until they do run to play the combo.
Right.
But you can
It's-
essentially power shut down Diagnostics game.
That ultimately doesn't matter so much to me as the potential of what this card can do 2 years from now, 5 years from now. What does Accelerated Diagnostics get you whenever you can have any 3 cards in your deck immediately and play them without spending any actions? Like even doubles, right? Like
Definitely.
those kinds of things are what's worrisome about this kind of card. In its own little zone here, look at the top 3. You can play them. Works well with precog. There's some cool things you can do with it. It's not of itself terribly troubling. It's kind of like an accelerated beta test. It can go wrong, put some agendas into archives if you haven't prepared for it. But I think it's a bit of a red flag just to keep in mind.
What it potentially can do.
Yeah, keep in mind what this card can do.
But I think it's going to see play. But overall, like, it's a combo card.
Yes.
And we all know how combos work. They don't sometimes.
They don't, yes.
Sometimes they don't. It's the truth. So
You gotta
I don't
have
know.
pieces usually.
I think the idea is cool. Because of power shutdown, it already makes me concerned. But I think it'll see play, especially, I mean, if I already have Jackson out, just to play this card and potentially get to play 3 operations, and then if there are agendas that get discarded,
Like, I mean,
throw 'em
even
back
if
in.
it's just like, oh, hedge fund.
Oh,
anything.
unbelievable. Yeah.
anything.
Cool. But
Yeah.
I paid 1 to play 2 hedge funds.
Yeah, it's a good card. 1 influence.
1 influence, 1 cost.
It shall be played.
Pretty good. Scary, a little bit. Is it me?
It is.
You.
Unorthodox Predictions. I get Unorthodox Predictions, a 3-1 from Jinteki. Security Agenda. When you score it, you can choose Sentry, Code Gate, or Barrier. Subroutines on ice of the chosen subtype cannot be broken until the beginning of your next turn.
It's good.
It's good.
It's good. It's good.
It's good.
It's good.
I love 3-1s. They're my favorite. They are my favorite.
I mean, it works. It works quite well for me with just score. If you can score this and have a couple of clicks left, that's when it's really nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
Score it, and then it's like, well,
Like, I install advance this past the turn. I think it's a June bug. I'm not gonna run. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Then I advance it, score it, install, and you say advance it.
And there's no way you can get in. I mean, there's just nothing you can
It's
do.
on Jabber Fem.
I think that potentially what's also terrifying about it is, like, if I have a handful of face down ice, like there are no really good sentries showing, and I score this and I say sentry.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that is terrifying.
It's kind of scary.
Depending on how much money you have.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
like,
scary.
you have 10, 15 money, whatever.
Apparently, Jinteki's so rich these days, man.
They have a lot of money.
It's
Celebrity gift.
insane.
But
Sorry
I'm
to
just saying,
distract
like, the fear factor you can do here, if you may not have anything good worth calling, but you call it, and all of a sudden they can't run, because that may be an archer.
It's a really good little Jinteki agenda, I think. I like
Is it in your deck?
It is.
It has been spoken.
Oh,
Right.
man, what a good card. I like this
Up
one.
next, we have Sundew. It's a 2-cost Jinteki asset, 2 trash cost. The first time the runner spends at least 1 click on his or her turn, gain 2 credits unless the runner just initiated a run on the server. I thought this card was good.
Okay.
When I read it, I was like, it's good. It's a money card. And then I played against it. And it's the most annoying thing I've ever had to play against.
It's it's such a good card.
It's like, am I going to run over there? And then,
Such a good
Or
card.
give you
man.
too much. Like, it's so frustrating.
You're giving them 2, but, like, to get there, you'd have to spend 8, 10.
No,
and
it was
trash
what it was is it was a Sunday with a Hokusai open. He had a Hokusai upgrade on Sunday. And it was just like,
That's hilarious.
do I give you 2 credits for the rest of the game? No.
No.
Do I run there and pay 6 to trash both of them? No. It's just like,
Just like
it made me hate my life.
It can do a lot, man.
Man, that didn't take much.
I
It
know.
can do a lot.
And
This is a solid card.
That's a fun
Kentucky's been
card.
getting some serious cards.
And
coming
then
out
there's
of
the
fight.
obvious
Obvious
synergy with replicating perfection. They physically can't run on this one first, which is good. And then are you really gonna run on it then?
Yeah, now we've wasted 2. And you've got to run on Jinteki, which is annoying. But you don't just want to run and jack out. I mean, you may as well get something for it, but you don't really want to get in there sometimes.
Yep.
That's a good card.
Boy, that's good. I like
I
that.
like it.
I like that
It's
a
beautiful
lot.
and dangerous.
I feel like that fits right into Jinteki there.
And at 3 influence, I think it'll see potential play in other decks.
It could.
That is the way this game works.
It could. I don't
That's
know.
true.
3's a little high.
I don't know. We'll see.
Speaking of cards that we'll see play in other factions,
All right,
this
next
is not
up,
one.
we have City Surveillance. It's 4 influence, NBN card, 5 cost asset. When the runner's turn begins, give the runner a tag unless he or she pays 1 credit.
not impressed.
Man, it
Pretty
could have
trash
been
talk.
so good. It really could
It's
have.
very close to being good.
It could have been so good. I mean, the thing is, give it at least a 5 trash cost if you're going to do this. At least a 5. If I'm going to pay 5 to have this up and it's going to take me 5 turns for this to pay off, like, assuming you pay the 1 credit every time, just...
I get why it's 3 trash cost. Because if you can't get rid of this, it's bad.
It's a 1 credit a turn. I mean,
You don't always have 1 credit a turn. But just ensure, like, 5 costs for 3 trash costs is not worth it to me for a 1 credit tax. Like, the ideal moment is that you res this whenever they spent their last credit.
or you close the count and then
Or you
res
close
it.
the counts, but then they're already tagged.
And they take a tag.
Unless you...
It's like, ooh, crazy. We have so many better ways to give. The problem with Siege of Surveillance is, like, against NBN, we have a lot of really efficient ways to give tags, not the least of which is midseason, where you have like 20 tags on you. This is then a dead card. Like, once somebody decides to take the tags from like Data Raven, they don't care about tags ever again in that game. So Siege of Surveillance does nothing. So like, this just is not a good way to do it. We're already doing well. Like, it just isn't. If it said, like, if the runner is tagged, they pay 3 at the beginning of every turn or something, like, okay, that's kind of fitting into the synergy of they're tagged, and we're going to punish them for it. But we have ways to do this already. We need ways to punish them for us knowing where they are, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's...
If NBN is trying to tag me, I will be tagged by the end of the game.
Yes.
Like, that's going to be a fact. They just need ways to... Like, this doesn't help. You're right.
Yeah.
Would it have been better if it had been low influence for other
No.
identities?
I don't know. The 5-3 really kills this one for me. I wish it were, if 0-3 or something would be acceptable, you know, at the very least. Seriously, why
Give me
should
a 0.
Why should you have to pay to res this? Like, you're in BN, right? I don't know.
It's a card.
Disappointed.
What's next?
Snoop. Shall I snoop us? 6 cost, Sentry Tracer, 6 strength. That's a good little ratio there. When the runner encounters Snoop, reveal all cards in the runner's grip. Whoa, that's great.
I like it.
I'm going to get to the trace first. The first subroutine, trace 3 if successful, place 1 power counter on Snoop, and you can spin that power counter to reveal all cards in the runner's grip. Trash one of those cards at any moment in the game.
That's something.
Yes.
Steven, you had an encounter playing against this card. What did you think?
I did. I wasn't scared of it. Right? I mean...
You weren't scared of it.
Did it do much? It certainly didn't keep me out.
I think it depends on if you have anything in your hand you want.
Well, you certainly knew that I was... You certainly knew what was in my hand in those moments.
This card, I think, is really good with Chum.
Yes. Oh, my goodness, yes.
8-string sentries are not fun to break.
Not fun to break. And they take the Chum damage, then they take the counter, then you can potentially get a card out and then Scorch, or, you know... It's damage of a very nice kind.
Not damage, but it's faux damage.
Faux damage. It's NBN damage. NBN's trying to play this kind of control-y thing with Data Hound and Snoop, and the card that I never played, the double
Invasion of Privacy.
Invasion of Privacy, yeah. It's trying to be kind of this control-y, take things out of your hands that you want.
The problem with that strategy usually is things like Data Hound. It's a 2-strength sentry.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Mimic. Yay. They get through. And it's like, man, why did I put that card in my deck?
Yeah, it will certainly... this card will have moments where you're like, Snoop is great. Because you look in their hand, you get rid of their 1 breaker that they're holding, you know, to run on your remote, or their Crypsis that they're...
Or their Inside Job, or their Account Siphon,
money,
or their Plasticry, or their...
It can do some good things. But at the end of the day, it also does not keep them out of anything.
No.
So be aware of that.
I feel like this is very good HQ ice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I said it.
I said it.
I said
I'd put 1 Snoop in my deck, I'll say that. Single Snoop.
I'll say this.
Give me some Iris.
Up next, we have Iris.
Iris.
Very clever.
If you say it really fast, though.
Sounds like Iris?
Iris.
Ah,
Iris.
like the flower.
Yep. It's a 0-cost, 2-strength code gate.
All right, it's going to have to do something really bad for this to not be okay.
Because it's 0 cost.
It's 0 cost, yeah.
1 influence. Iris gains subroutine. The runner loses 1 credit for each Babel Bliss that you have.
I'll tell you what. My current Wayland deck, on average, has 4 to 7 bad pub by midway through the game. So a 0 cost ice with like 7 subroutines on it would be great. Unless they have Yogg. And then this is not great.
Yeah, this is awful. But I think we're getting away from Yogg slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely.
And the game will get away from Yogg, so this is one to come back to.
Chum Iris could be funny if they don't have any data circuit
It's like
tokens.
8 subroutines with.
Yeah, I think it's solid. Again, it's kind of one of those things. It's the right cost because it is conditional. You not only do you have to have a deck that wants to have bad pub, but you have to have that deck actually succeeding in having bad pub before this is worthwhile at all. Otherwise, it's kind of dead.
It's dead.
It prevents like an inside job. It does some relatively not useful things. But yeah, I think it's flavorful. It's fine. It's not outright bad. It can have play eventually.
I think there are some decks, if you just consistently have a bunch of bad pub, this is at least considered. Obviously, otherwise, just scrap it.
My thought behind this is, yeah, it's awesome if you have this card in your hand mid to late game and you have 5 bad pub that you've accumulated, and then you can finally like put this out there and it's ready to go. But I know that there are going to be those games that I have 2 IRS in my opening hand. I'm just like, ice credit.
Don't run, please. Not gonna
Please
res.
don't.
Not gonna res.
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting part of this is, I'm in particular thinking about in my current Wayland deck where I run lots of low-cost agendas. Ultimately, I want you to score. I have mid-seasons in the deck. I want you to get to agendas throughout the game. So having ice that doesn't really do anything up front isn't as bothersome in that scenario. I think my deck is the deck right now that potentially could use this card. Potentially. And I wouldn't put 3 in my deck. I would put like 1 or 2 in my deck. Even if I res it early, later in the game, like it still stays on the board. Later in the game, if I do have 4 or 5 bad pub, you better have an answer or it's going to start.
The thing about this card, I understand what you're saying, and it is a valid point. But the thing about this card that I see happening is, how many times whenever I draw this card am I going to be like, man, I wish this was another card? And I feel like that's going to be often enough for me not to run this card.
I don't know. Right now I have 2 shadows in my deck, and they are just not good.
I would take Shadow over it. I'm just saying.
I would take Shadow over this card.
It's interesting.
No one wants to break a Shadow.
It's true. You just get the money.
No one wants to break a Shadow.
You just get the money. Yeah. I don't know. I want to use this and see what I think.
The funny thing about this is, right, like, this cancels the bad publicity. The bad publicity that you have cancels the effect of this, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really just prepping you for getting owned later on, like later down the run. But if this is all you got out, it's like, I'll use my 4 bad pub to pay this 4 bad pub subroutine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on.
Oh, yeah.
Iris.
All right, next up we have Power Shutdown.
There it is.
Kind of mentioned it earlier. It's a 1-cost Wayland operation. Gray Ops, if that matters. 2 influence.
Doesn't matter.
Play only if the runner made a run during his or her last turn. Trash X cards from the top of R&D. The runner trashes if 1 installed program or piece of hardware with an install cost of X or less.
This card is phenomenal. I think it answers so many things that needed to be answered.
I wish it were 1 influence.
Yeah.
I don't. I wish it was 5.
Crazy. I mean,
my first encounter with
great
this card,
answer.
I was playing against Lucas on the Plugged In tour. No, not Lucas. Stewart. Stewart was running the Wayland deck. And
Lucas also had this in his deck.
Yeah, my turn 1, I played.
Probably played Data Sucker.
No, I played Desperado, and I ran. It was great. He hadn't covered up his deck or something, and my turn ended. He's like, "All right, I'm gonna Power Shutdown." Discarded the cards, got rid of Desperado. I was like, "What do I do now?" Like how do I play? I don't know how to play without Desperado. So I think there are situations where this is hilarious.
Yeah, it's great, and I mean, obviously, it really hurts data suckers because there aren't a ton of 0 or 1 cost things that you're playing.
I'm gonna discard
data
0.
sucker.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna discard 1. Goodbye, data sucker with 17 tokens on it.
Yeah.
It's nice knowing you.
Yeah.
And I mean, 0 hits self-modifying code hard.
That's great. It needed to be hit.
Yeah, pay 1, discard 0. Clear it.
So for the wholesome use of this card is fantastic.
The unwholesome use, which is where I pay 1 and discard my deck.
Anything in a game that says X to an unlimited degree is always troublesome. In every game you've ever played, the problem cards have always been you can do X to whatever degree you want, and hopefully it doesn't break. But I wish there were some kind of limit. Even a 10-card limit on this would be acceptable to me. Just something to make sure that you can't do shenanigans with it. Because I don't think Netrunner is ultimately a combo-style game, right? You don't want to just combo out and nobody has fun. So its wholesome use is awesome. I think it answers a lot of problems like you guys are talking about. its devious use is a bit troublesome, even if it's not there yet. I'll say that.
Oh, it's there.
All right, moving on to Paper Wall. 0 cost barrier, 1 strength. I love it already. If all subroutines on it are broken during a single encounter, trash Paper Wall in the run.
That's a card.
Yeah, fair enough.
To me, this is when I don't want to use my influence on Ice Wall. Very similar for what you get early on. This is awesome. They may Crypsis or something past it, but like they're gonna have to spend a lot to do it. If they happen to drop Corroder and run on turn 1, you may have a problem.
You may have a problem.
But even I don't know. I don't think it
Pretty
happens
generous.
often enough for this to not see play. I think it will replace Ice Wall in a lot of decks just because of the influence.
The thing it's a card that bothers me. I like it, but it bothers me because it's one of those cards that's either so early game or so late game that you draw it at the wrong time and you're just like, ah. So like, yeah, you have to run 3 Paper Walls if you want to see it early, and then it's like, oh, I didn't see it early, and now I know that there's 3 Paper Walls that are going to do nothing for me later on in the game.
But I mean, it's the same idea as Ice Wall in theory.
Hey man, you can pump it.
You can.
You're not going to.
But then if you draw an Ice Wall late game, and you install it and you're advancing it 3 times, like
Yeah.
That's
It's pretty lame.
when comparing to Ice Wall, if you really consider it, like, okay, Ice Wall, you res it, it stays around, they have to pay 1 every time they go through it.
Yeah.
But really, like, I draw a late game Ice Wall, and I'm just like, crap.
you don't play it.
Yeah, you don't
No,
play
it just
it.
stays in my hand.
They would have a Corroder out.
I mean, if you're going to play it, most of the time you're playing it as like a, hey, you don't know what I've got here kind of thing, and forcing them to check it.
Sure, yeah.
So you may as well have a Paper Wall. Like,
It's fair.
I
there's
don't know.
also some good fuel for Edge of World.
Whoa.
He just went to a new place there. Talking about specific cards here.
Man,
it's crazy.
that card that we used to play that I haven't seen in 1,000 years.
It's in my deck right now.
No, I don't know. I think this is a solid replacement. It does what Ice Wall does for me without having to spend the influence if you're not running Wayland. And
Yeah.
I think it'll be seen. I don't think it'll completely replace Ice Wall, but I think it will be seen.
Good little fast advance card, right?
And 0 cost.
It's
That's
solid.
something.
It's another card that you want to get forged.
Can't complain too much about
That's
it.
fantastic.
Yeah. And Blackguard deck, beware.
All right, and then to round out the pack, we have Interns.
Great
helping us
art.
out. It's a 0 cost operation. It's a double. It's neutral. As an additional cost to play this operation, spend a click. We expected that. Install a non-operation card from Archives or HQ, ignoring the install cost.
So, yeah, install something from Archives or HQ, ignoring the cost.
I 100% dig this.
Now, it's worth noting that this is not the res cost. It's only the install cost.
Install cost.
So, like, if I install a Sansan, it's not resed.
But the point is, you can still install a Sansan.
Yeah, I get it.
You run, you pay 5 and trash my Sansan. I pay 0 and put it right back.
And 2 clicks. 0 2 clicks.
And
That's
you can
fine.
install on the 5th rung of Ice if you want, right? For totally free. 7th
For
rung,
2
8th
clicks,
rung. This Edge of World deck is going crazy right now.
Yeah.
It is nice because sometimes you're like, man, I just drew this pop-up window. Do I really want to pay 5 to put it out there? No.
But I'd like to get it out there.
I would pay 2
Yeah, and
clicks
I
to get
mean-
it out there, though.
To me, I'm thinking, obviously, from a Wayland,
Or you parasite the
Base.
ice.
you know, if my ice gets parasited, or, you know, maybe I draw an Archer early and I don't have agendas, so I discard it to the, you know, I can get it back and play it. If it stays face down, I don't think you have to reveal it if you install it, right?
No.
So,
If it was face down.
yeah.
It's also worth noting that this combos well with anything that would make you trash your own cards, like Power Shutdown.
Oh, man.
Or Accelerated Beta Test.
I was going to say, accelerated beta test gets
It's
really
like,
big.
oh,
with
I
this.
How
trash
about-
an agenda.
How about that sub, the one where you can trash Ice and get 4 credits, I think it is?
Oh, security subcontract?
Yeah, just, you
I'm
know.
going to trash that pop-up window.
Trash that paper wall.
And I'm going to get it back. I think this is a really... I love this card. For zero influence, every identity is going to get to use this. The ability to get cards back. If you've used the card, it's probably good. Just saying. Like, if it's in your discard pile.
Or it's trash because you trashed it.
I mean, even just... yeah. I don't know. I think this card will absolutely see play.
I agree.
And I'm excited to see if it works.
Just getting a Sansan back is so annoying.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
As the run's like, I'm going to take the Sansan that you trashed last turn. I'm just going to put that right here. What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
you gonna trash it again? Cool.
I'm also. I feel like this card works so well out of HB. All of their assets and upgrades that are just so annoying that you trash. You get in. Oh, there's an Ash trashed. You can play it again. And they have accelerated beta tests to get cards back with. It just seems really good for them.
And finally, an answer to noise.
We needed another one, right?
Just had to get that one out there. All right, general thoughts. What do we think? Anything
it's a good
fancy?
pack.
It's a very good pack.
I thought it was a really good pack.
I think everyone got a little something there.
I agree.
Obviously, Anarch's doing well here. Criminal. I mean, what do you do with Criminal? Because they can't really get better.
You just keep getting better.
You just got to give them more options, but they're not altogether better than what they already have.
I think potentially the identity that got the least help here was Shaper, in my opinion.
I would agree
think
with that.
Torch is fine, but I don't think it's like
MBN also get not very good cards.
But everyone else, and they're all good cards with decent influence cost, most of them, so everyone got help technically.
Yeah. A lot of these cards are going to work into every deck.
HB's cards, except for Izzy, are not that shiny.
Yeah,
really.
I think Izzy's going to be everywhere, though, as well.
And I'm officially calling her Izzy.
Izzy, fair enough.
Izzy.
Got Raymond. Yeah, it's a great pack.
Yep.
So thank you guys for watching. This has been the Mala Tempora unboxing for us. We are just getting back from the holiday rush, so thank you for watching all the way through if you made it this far. We're pretty just laid back, I think, after all of that turkey.
Just cruising.
So we appreciate you watching, and if you want to pick up Mala Tempora from us, you can do that on our web store, teamconan.com/store. If you're a subscriber, it's already well sent out to you. You already have it, so enjoy it. And if you want to be a subscriber, join the party. Subscribe anytime you want, and we'll get you on the list of sending out every data pack to you without you doing anything, which is awesome. So this is Steven. That's Tim. That's
I'm
Zach.
Zach.
Hey, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.